Hello everybody. So, I've been racking my brain as to how to start with this spiritual journey that I am about to embark on with you. And I've decided to take on the two witnesses and the seed of our consciousness. These two are the seed of our consciousness. So, when God made us in the beginning, man and woman, He separated us. That created some complications for humanity. But I'm not here to explain the details to you. I'm rather here to explain a bigger concept so that you see the big picture. I feel that religions are so focused on the minor detail and trying to pull the Bible apart into codes and all sorts of things like that. So I feel that that might be losing the point. So I would like to start with the two witnesses and the seed of human consciousness. And the two witnesses aren't necessarily what we think it is, because there's a bit of a twist in the tale. Now, you've met my partner Katerina, and we pretty much share the same view about how we integrate as male and female. And maybe a little bit in the previous video you saw a little bit of how we think about the male and female connection. Now, this is my side of defense. So in the instance of the two witnesses, it's not really what we might think it is. A lot of people say it's Moses and Elijah, but I don't think many realize that the Queen of Heaven is the one who's actually going to be doing the judging. And I'm going to explain to you now why. Alright, so what happened in the beginning? First, we have to look at where it all started. When Adam was born, he was taken in and become a human being, because a human being is a human being because of his consciousness, because of the way he thinks. And also the specification for Homo sapien says that there has to be a brain size of 1.4 kilogram to qualify as a Homo sapien. Now, when God divided them up, He basically took the master copy and He made a copy from it in the feminine form. So you really have a master and you have an image, so to speak. And these became known as a spirit and a ghost. So when the two together are one, then they become an angel. But when they are separated, they're a spirit and a ghost. Now, Earth is 100% round. Well, it's a spherical object in space. I know a lot of people think it's a flat Earth we live in, but it's not really. We're living in a spherical world where the equator is bigger than what it would measure to the two axis points. So God decided He's going to divide it into two separate parts, in top to bottom, and two separate parts, left and right. So I've told you in the past that we're working according to the duality of God and God's design. So when God came up with the design of the earth, and so He split it naturally in two parts with an equator. Now, the duality here is that the two halves of earth, like this, taken open and held like that, forms two round parts, which makes a resonant loop. And there's always resonance happening on the equator. In fact, that's what makes the world turn, and also what makes the world have the correct conditions for human existence. But there's also another split that happened. And this split is a spiritual split, that Earth is separated from east to west. And east and west is separated on the 33 parallel line. So at 33 degrees, 33 minutes and 33 seconds, crossing with 33 degrees north of the equator, with 33 degrees minutes and seconds, which is a point where it is just off the coast of Israel. Now, the reason why he did this was to create a way of judging who's who in the zoo. And basically what it really is all about is that there's always two energies. Everything is in the duality of God. Everything is divided into a male and a female, or a left and a right, or a plus and a minus, or a light and a dark. So there's a couple of divisions that happens in as an automatic response, or an automatic effect of the duality of God's design. Now, there's a significant number that comes to mind here, which is 33, 33, 33. Well, 33 degrees, 33 minutes, 33 seconds. So it's 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So which makes 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 3 is 6. So it makes a number of 666. Now the number of 666 is also evident in carbon, which is the most prolific isotope on Earth. And carbon-12 specifically is divided into 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. So 666 is a number of creation, and it's a number that obviously has some connotation as far as what Revelation is concerned, and there's a significance, a huge significance in the number 333333 or 666. Now, what God sees is he sees the numbers 3 on one side, and he sees the numbers 3 on the other side. So he would see 3, and he sees himself as number 1. So he sees a number of 313. And that would depict the judgment point, or the judgment entity, so to speak, maybe, if you like. Now, when he created our family, he couldn't really give the one side to a woman and the other side to a man, because that would be defeating the object of his duality. His duality is really with good and bad, and then basically he gave a woman as the mediator, or the force behind what men are here for, what consciousness is all about here. So when we were created, when Esau and Jacob were born, God said that there are two families, or two different types of people in her womb. I mean, she was struggling because the twins were fighting inside her belly, and she said to God, well, what is it with my kids? Then God said, there are two manner of people inside your womb. And the two manner of people is really what it's all about. He created two boys, Esau and Jacob. And Esau and Jacob have a significant story to tell. So Jacob was charged as the king of the east, and Esau basically inherited the west. So the big problem that we face here now in modern life is that the West seems to be ruling the East. And I don't know if it's evident to many of you, but we are facing a really serious problem as far as what spirituality and the whole general energy of Earth is at the moment. So all in this duality, when I carry on with any more lectures from here, I will explain this duality, and I focus purely on that. I focus on balance, and I believe that everything has to be in perfect balance for there to be harmony. Now, when it's not in perfect balance, then the harmony is disrupted and everything will go as wrong as it could. So there is a thing called entropy, which is really basically the decay of something to be able to create an evolution. So everything has to decay. Entropy is a natural decaying process that goes hand in hand with evolution, and God uses both of them as His duality. Entropy is really the energy or the seed of evolution. So God sits at the 33 point. He looks on that line, so He sees 33 on that side and He sees 33 on this side, and He is the one in between. So the number would be like maybe 313. And the thing is, with having created these two boys now, giving them each their kind of kingdom, or their spiritual kingdom, He knew that if the one becomes stronger than the other, then one will suppress the other, and they won't be able to judge for themselves, or He would not allow the other one to be free. He would want to suppress the other one so that he doesn't go and run to Daddy and go and tell Daddy that he's unfair. So He would avoid that. But the one who's being suppressed is really the one who would make a case, so to speak. So what God did is, when Eve came to earth, He said to these two guys, right, you on the right side, you will be physically attracted to her. You on the left side, you will be spiritually attracted to her. So Esau became attached to her from a spiritual point of view, and Jacob became attached to her from a physical point of view. So, you know, as I've maybe explained to you before, or maybe I haven't, so I'll quickly do, you have Elohim. And Elohim, really Adam and Eve, which is the male and female. Elohim consists of El and El Shaddai, which is the breasted goddess. So in the duality of God's design, male and female have to be in union. That union is the natural state of being for humanity. So if He makes the Queen of Heaven the spiritual partner of the one and the physical partner of the other, then He's creating a situation where she would have to stand back one day and say, hey, but what you're doing isn't right, and what you're doing isn't right in this sense, or what, and she's the one really who has to judge. So when it comes to the two witnesses, it becomes a bit more obvious that the one who's complaining will make the case, and then the one who's supposed to be judging will be standing in the middle, which is her in this instance, and then she'll be judging the other side of the family, which is Esau's family. Now, when we look at the whole situation from God's point of view, as to what is happening on earth right now, it is very clear that the East is subdued and has a gentle nature, and the West has a very aggressive nature. Now, many times they killed the babies of the Yahudim, the babies of the Israelites. They killed them because there is this mindset of getting rid of the Jew. So, let me explain to you what the word Jew really means. There's a son of Jacob, one of these two. And this son was born from Jacob's first wife. Or, yes, his first wife. He had a couple, but his first wife gave him a son called Judah. And he was a very outstanding man. If you want to read about him, I found the book of Yashar just very entertaining as far as what Judah is concerned. He was a very different character. But God chose out of the 12 sons of Israel, or the 12 sons of Israel, He chose Judah. And this is where we have a problem today. Where God is judging from, He can see that Judah was His choice, but they are not in control of the world right now. Who is controlling of the world right now is the seventh born son. His name was Asher. But I will get to that later. In fact, he's done many things that the world still believes is true today, but I will disprove basically everything. Now, if you want to confirm for yourself about the queen judging, then it is written in Matthew 12 verse 42, where it says the queen from the south will go looking for the wisdom of Solomon, and what she would find is someone far greater. So just that in itself is enough proof that you are facing, in the two witnesses, you are facing a man and a woman. So when God put them in charge of their own fields, because usually if one is a boss or one is a leader, the other one would be a follower or a complementary issue to the whole picture. So what he did, because he really gave Adam the breath, and he made Adam really the leader of the house, of the family, or church if you like, then it really means that he had to give women something else. So what he did is he gave women force. Now, I don't know if there's anybody who will disagree with me that women have a lot of force over men, and they are capable of controlling us to a very large extent. Now, the control that they have, it could be forceful or it could be gentle, and it depends on how it is applied and how the woman was taught how to be the force behind a man. And we face a little problem there as far as what epigenetics is concerned, but I will get to that in a later episode. I think you've heard me already speak of the two extremes, depression and narcissism on either side of the scale, which is one of the major problems we face on earth today. But nevertheless, I'm not going to go there right now. So, man and woman, they have a representation on the physical being. one is on the left side and one is on the right side. So the one on the left side would be depicting the right brain, and the one who's on the right side would be depicting the left brain. And the crisscross that happens there is evident in everything of God's design. So wherever you look about the balance of everything, there's a crisscross mixture of everything. So earth is not just divided this way, it's divided this way, which makes the cross again. Everything that you do, one side will have the negative side here, the reflection here. So it will be one side here and the other side here and the other side here and then this side. So there's always this crisscross, which is a depiction of resonance. And God is all about resonance. So the only place where he kind of didn't divide it equally is between the leadership of man and the force of a woman. If we look on the Kabbalah, you'll see that, or if you know the Kabbalah to some extent, which is probably as basic as what I know it, but it goes into a lot of detail about how we evolve into our spiritual being. And when we get to a certain point, there's a separation between Chesed and Gevurah, which is at the highest level of spiritual evolution. And Chesed and Gevurah basically depict judgment and mercy. Now, Chesed and Gevurah also have a male-female connection. So Gevurah would be female and Chesed would be male. Chesed denotes love, which is the predominant energy of God. Gevurah is judgment, which I don't think anybody likes to be judged or likes to be on the judged side of the picture. So women got given that, the power over that. So at the top of the Kabbalah we have a separation between Chesed and Gevurah, which is then Bina and Chokmah. But the thing here is that Chokmah is you reach, once you've made Chesed and Gevurah one. In other words, once you are resonating between Chesed and Gevurah, you will, according to your physical makeup, go into the one side or the other side. So women would go into Bina and men go to Chokmah. And Chokmah is actually the divine state of being, because Chokmah is always in resonance with Kether, and Kether represents God. So the male is representing that part of the Kabbalah. The female represents Bina. Now, because Adam was the image and Eve was taken the image from him, Eve is considered ghost and Adam is considered spirit. And the two together would then be the complete angel. Now, if these two are separated, they would remain just a ghost and a spirit. But when they come together, they become an angel. So the whole thing that is happening on earth right now is there is a crowd trying to prevent that kind of union between man and woman. Now, needless to say that the Israelites, when they came to earth, there's a lot of talk about the 144,000 that will be redeemed. And at the basis of that thing is really 288,000 avatars, of which each one would be in union with a male and a female combination. And that union is what we are trying to re-achieve. We need to make the top like the bottom, the left like the right, and we need to make it one. So to make it one, man and woman have to be in union. And things like women's liberty, for instance, will destroy that kind of union between man and woman. Now, the ratio that he divided these two beings at is 30-70. So man is 70% man and 30% woman, and woman is 30% man and 70% woman. So now, when man and woman come together and they come into union, they join and become one. And when they become one, they are resonating in the same loop as what it is when you separate Earth into two parts and put them together to form that eighth circle. So that eighth circle, that figure 8 is the figure of infinity. Now, what is happening on Earth right now is that Satan is trying to destroy the union that has to happen between that. And is specifically trying to destroy the union that is supposed to happen between the Israelite men and the Israelite women, to avoid these 144,000 angels reuniting. At the forefront of the tribe of Israel, there is the Yahudim, the tribe of Judah. We call them Yahudim. Now, the Yahudim have a little bit of a problem, is because they are very gentle creatures, and they have been trodden down by the likes of Esau, who was really a very rough character, and he didn't really care much for his family. So we've been killed. The Israelites' children have been killed by various kings over the years. In Egypt, they killed the boys. I mean, Moses was fortunate. Moses had to be protected by the angels to be able to survive. And he was brought to earth because he had a mission. Right, so to elaborate a little bit on what these 144,000 need to go through to be able to get back into union, is the men have to conceive themselves first. So for a man to conceive himself, he needs firstly absolute truth. He needs to know the truth of who he is and what his mission is. And his mission is to get to Chokmah, so that he can be in union with Kether. Now, if a man gets to Chokmah, he will be thinking like God. In fact, he becomes like a God. And this is what religion is trying to prevent, is to stop our men becoming all they can be. And this is a huge problem. This is Hitler's mission, was to destroy the Jews, and it was the king's mission to destroy the Israelites. And because everybody knew that the chosen tribe of God, if they destroy them, then they would be eligible to take their place. And also because they didn't really believe that God was in charge of them. So, us Yahudim have taken a lot of strain on earth. And I think it's about time that it is over. Because I'm about to explain to you where the problem lies and what you face. Firstly, out of the 12 tribes of Israel, there is one significant tribe on earth right now. Now, there's many questions that go around asking, where did the Israelites go and what happened to the Israelites? Firstly, we need to understand who an Israelite is. An Israelite is somebody who is born from a specific family group, which means he has specific family genetics. Now, one of the family traits or family ways to identify this family is because they have blue eyes. Now, God said He will put a mark in their forehead, and it says in the New Testament that, or in the Revelation, it says that a man with the eyes is like the flame of a fire, which is blue, will take his stand. Now, blue eyes has many properties, like for instance, or many differences, like for instance the fact that blue eyes is a result of low carbon saturation in the blood. Now, carbon saturation, here we get back to the 666 situation. So to have carbon saturation in your body, the more the carbon saturation, the darker the skin and the darker the eyes. The less the carbon saturation, the less the eyes would be. But if everybody had less carbon in their eye, in their melanin, then their eyes would just simply go lighter, even maybe to yellow. This situation now is what separates the royal family, which includes Esau and Jacob's offspring. What separates them is that they all have blue eyes. But what separates the two of them is that one has a red hair gene and we have a dark hair gene. So the Yahudim, we've got dark brown hair and dark brown eyebrows and blue eyes. Now, Esau's family will have a recessive red gene, which gives them red hair and also obviously blue eyes. But they are called the red dragon of Revelation because of that. Alright, so now how did he go about becoming so powerful in the world today? I mean, really at the leadership of the world is not really actually Esau. It's an Israelite. And this is where the situation becomes a little bit difficult to explain, but Esau's family rules finances in the world. They are connected to the Ashkenazi family. You can go and read about Ashkenaz in the Bible, who was one of Esau's sons. And the Ashkenazi have, in today's world, according to the bell curve, the Ashkenazi have their own specification, but not the Yahudim, which means already that we are trodden down. So, who's actually controlling the world today is what I would really want to make the statement about here today. In the next talk, I would probably start looking at where the problems, like, for instance, why Paul, the Apostle Paul, is in the Bible, who shouldn't really be there. But I will explain that to you. But for now, the one in charge right now is the tribe of Asher. Now, the tribe of Asher took control way back when, because they came up with a crowd known as the Templars, or the Illuminati, or societies like that. They also had, I think, they were the Rosicrucians as well. There's many names for them, there's many connotations, but they really evolved just on the western side of that 33 marker. Now, they evolved on a little island called Tyre, of Syria, and they built the first temple of Babel there. Now, that's the whole thing. This Babylon is actually the inception of Nimrod. So Nimrod was the son of Ham, who went south from where the ark ended up, and he created the Cushites, and his grandson was Nimrod. And Nimrod really is the father of religion. He came up with the concept of worshipping. And he built Babylon. And Babylon is basically what it's all about. So he started worshipping the queen as he was influenced by the Templars and the Masons and those who lived in the area they eventually called Babylon. But in the family of Asher, oh, by the way, you can identify the family of Esau by the fact that they call themselves dukes. Now, if you go and look at the royal kingdom of England, you will see they are called dukes. So that is the attachment there. But who is really in charge is the Jesuits. Now, the tribe of Asher came up with a son who was called Jesui. Now, the name Jesus was derived from that because Jesui, the son of Asher, was a Baal. And a Baal means that he was worshipping, or he was loyal to the Queen of Heaven. Many places in the Bible you will see that God was very angry at the Israelites because they were worshipping the Queen of Heaven or the daughter of Zion. Or many places he's saying that the daughter of Zion, you've offended me, you've never loved me, you scorned me, you laughed at me. And it is very evident that God is very angry at the Queen of Heaven because she was not supposed to be worshipped as per se. I mean, it's the union that is worshipped. When she is in union with him, they are known as Elohim, and God is in the middle of them because Kether is there. Kether is the reason. What would bring them into union? There's no other way. And all Israelites function in the same way. That's what makes us very different from normal humanity. Although we function pretty much the same at the same energy that we've been given to this point, but we are not the same. Now Nimrod was instrumental in forming the concept of worship and religion. He was backed up by Enheduanna, who was the daughter of Sargon, and she wrote many processes and many poems and many concepts about how Yahweh would want to be worshipped. Probably not knowing who she was, because if she knew who she was and she knew she had to be in union, physically in a sexual union with Jacob's, with the man from the east, with Jacob's son, then she would have been probably not doing the same thing. But she didn't really get to know that side of life because she was always elevated and worshipped. Now this has had many spin-offs. It has had a huge trail of I would like to call it crooked evolution. But she influenced how women on earth evolve. And to cut a long story short, because she is worshipped by the tribe of Asher, the tribe of Asher, or the society of Jesus, they are loyal to Gaia, and Gaia is her, or Gaia is the mother of earth, or art is earth. Everything points to her. And quite honestly, if it wasn't for her, God wouldn't be here, because your consciousness really comes from there. So at this stage, what I'd like to maybe just end off with is that we all need to realize that we are being controlled by the wrong family member. So the family member who is supposed to be in control is Judah, and everybody's had a fight with the Israelites and the Yahudim specifically. Hitler's quest was to kill the Yahudim. And also they say the Masons, but the Masons were instrumental in changing all of this, in bringing the religion in. And in the book that I've just written, just completed, I explain why and how it happened, and even show you in the Bible, according to the prophets of the Old Testament, where the change took place and how the change took place and what the symptoms were when they started trading in Jerusalem on Sundays, and they started on Shabbat, and they made the Sunday the holy day, and all of these changes that took place in the Old Testament, which are very evident as being big changes towards the Yahudim. Now, when you go and look at the tribe of Asher, you will see that they are in cahoots with another crowd called the Roman Catholic Church. So the way it really works is that the tribe of Asher created a law, which they call, well, they didn't really create the law, it's a trade law that has evolved through the tribe of Esau, and they have control of this legal system. It's a trade law that started 11,000 years ago, because they wanted to be in charge of all the trade. Now, if you go and look at Revelation, you'll see that it speaks of somebody who's been waxed rich, and it speaks of a crowd that will come to an end, and this is the crowd who have taken this legal system, this law, which is maritime law, or today known as UCC, and they've taken this law and made this the law of humanity, which is incorrect. So, to try and end off with, the two that are in union there is the RCC, the Roman Catholic Church, the White Pope, and the Black Pope, which is the leader of the Jesuits. And the two of them see eye to eye, and they are union. One is in charge of spirituality, and the other one is in charge of law. So one is representing Chesed, and the other one is representing Javura. And if those two represent Chesed and Javura, and they claim to be so controlling over the law, then all that's left for humanity is Chesed, and they tell everybody, love, you must just love, because God is love, 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 love. But what that is actually doing is, if you conceive just love, then you are conceiving the only one side of the scale. You need to have love and judgment in union. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to judge and we need to love. And that is the balance of God. And if you're not doing that, you are out of balance. So next time I will delve into the Apostle Paul, and I will try and explain to you how Paul has influenced the world and broken the Yahudim down in his own way. And just in general, explain to you how the world is controlled by the feminine side, by the West. We do all have this need for finances, for money and everything, and I do believe that it's a necessity of a functioning society. but at the moment it has become really it has become the kingpin of society, and that is a bit of a problem because it seems like it throws love out the back door, and it seems as though men do not know that they have to conceive themselves. All my Israelite brothers, they have to conceive themselves in Kether to be able to connect to the one female they already have on earth. So if there's a guy who's conceiving himself in Kether, his other half, other spirit half, will automatically come and join him. And that is a promise that God made. So if you want to hear more about what I'm going to have to tell you about Paul and the rest of the story, then please subscribe. It will help me a lot to motivate me a bit to carry on with these things. And if you liked it, then hit the like button. But at the end of the day, there is a lot wrong on earth, and we need to get to the bottom of it. This is my little contribution for today, to try and get you to see a little bit deeper, a little bit of a bigger picture, but the picture will get quite radically big. Thank you for taking the time to look at this. I appreciate it very much. And have a good day. Bye-bye.